Hey, heads up. We talk about serious, sometimes uncomfortable shit on this podcast. But don't worry, hopefully you're gonna laugh your ass off.
Coping chaos.
In this episode, we mentioned the topic of suicide, self-harm, and intrusive harm thoughts. Please listen only if you feel safe with these topics.
Thanks for joining us for Coping Chaos, a podcast about coping with the chaos of daily life while also navigating the uncertainties of mental illness. I'm Leia Williams.
And I'm KJ Cervi. We are not medical professionals in any way, but we like to say we're not experts, but experts in our own mental health. We want to have a conversation with anyone who has been affected by mental illness in any way.
Today's episode, we're going to be addressing the fact that we talk a lot of negative in this podcast, which is normal. You know, negatives are just a part of mental illness. We're not trying to bring everybody down, but we really want to talk real talk, and we don't want to sugarcoat things. We want this to be, like we've said a million times, a community that shares even their deepest intrusive thoughts or whatever.
Yeah, it does sound bad, like, oh, you're always negative, but we definitely want to be real with everyone, like we said, and this is the truth about living with mental illness.
Exactly. So I think we'll start with you, KJ, if you'd like. Share some of your maybe most negative experiences and stories that you've associated with your mental health.
Yeah, well, I won't bore you guys with like 5 hours worth, but
No.
I will try to get a few things, just kind of show things that I've experienced through life. One thing is a little more general, but having to explain my symptoms over and over and people not really experienced and just kind of dismissing. One thing I may have mentioned before was like with my OCD, I was always telling people, I'm having these thoughts. They're not my thoughts. I don't feel this way, but these are my thoughts. And no one really believed me, or they didn't understand what I meant. But that was the only best way I could explain it. So then I get discouraged and not want to reach out to mental health professionals.
Exactly.
And then you go in this cycle where then you're worse because you're not getting any help. And that's been a real negative thing with me. And I get stuck in that a lot.
It's like a cycle.
And and then you just get so discouraged, and that feeds into depression and
anxiety. Yeah, exactly.
And then you're too anxious to go find a new person.
Because just so much energy it takes, too, to do all of that on top of the trauma that you sometimes get from these things.
I also think of a time, and it's kind of more physical health, but also it was mental health. I was seeing a neurologist. I had some issues. They think I might have seizures, but not like ones that you see mostly in my brain. I'm not sure because they didn't really give me a good answer.
Oh,
but
that's common too, by the way.
So I went to the neurologist, and first of all, he was really focused on my Lyme disease diagnosis, which wasn't even why I was there. You know, it was just in my chart. And again, I kind of just ignore that diagnosis now because it is controversial. He was just going off about that and how it was so stupid. They diagnosed everybody with Lyme disease, and he was putting down his daughter. He's like, my daughter went to art school, and she would even, diagnose you. I don't know. It was stupid, and it was kind of funny now because both Lucas and I went to art school.
Oh.
So he was, because he's a neurologist, and so that makes him God.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh.
But
power trip.
The worst part was every time I would tell him a symptom or how I was feeling or a situation, every time he would turn to Lucas and say, oh, was that right? Did that happen? And he was getting pissed too. He's like, she just told you.
Yeah, like, how would I know?
I
Like,
know.
she's literally right here telling you. What?
I know. And it was just so frustrating because it's like, not only was he not believing me, but he was being very misogynistic and only talking to the male in the room and not believing anything I said. And so I did, again, I'm sorry, I don't know technical things, but I did the test where they put all the sensors on your head and then they flash the lights and stuff. So they did all that to see if I had seizures. Oh, another weird thing is when he called to tell me the results, he called me. I answered the phone and I didn't even say hello. As soon as I answered the phone, he just talked at me.
Oh my gosh.
And he basically said there was activity. He couldn't tell me if they were seizures or not seizures. And that was it. So, that was probably 8 years ago. And I haven't tried to find another neurologist. I haven't tried to figure out if some of my issues are seizures.
Well, I mean, after that experience.
Yeah, that's one that I think about a lot. And
oh, yeah.
I don't know. I don't like that he lives in my head so much, but it's hard to get over that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think of another one that I have here is when I was in the mental hospital for 2 months. I think I talked about how we did the electroconvulsive therapy. We did lots of different med trials, different therapies, and I was not feeling any better after 2 months. And they said, well, there's not really any more we can do for you just staying here. There's nothing getting better. And I'm like, that makes no sense.
Like, this is where I'm supposed to go. Where else do I go?
Still am having these suicidal thoughts. They're worse than when I came in. I mean, to be fair, even now, they're worse than they were when I left, but we'll get into that too. They just kept saying, well, there's nothing you can do. They had me set up for different therapies outside. Well, first, I think intensive outpatient and partial hospitalization, and then they had other therapies after that scheduled, but I just felt so defeated because I'm like, I spent 2 months here.
Yeah, and you're like, this is where I'm supposed to get some kind of an answer or help of some kind. And for you to say, we can't think of something to help you, that's very discouraging.
The thing that pissed me off the most in the moment was they're like, oh, well, at least you'll be home for your daughter's birthday. Ugh. And I'm like, that has nothing to do with anything.
That's no good if I'm, feeling so horrible. I can't even enjoy it. What?
Exactly. So, I mean, I can look back now, and even though I'm significantly worse than back then, I can see the positive. It led eventually to my OCD diagnosis. I check marked boxes. Sometimes I'm just doing what the doctors say so we can check off we tried this,
Yeah, exactly. Just so that okay, that's not going to help. Yeah. That's not it.
That was really discouraging. Negative things like this could just be when you're not struggling with mental illness. It can be something you can kind of roll over. Like with the neurologist thing, I think most people probably wouldn't even think about it anymore, but I think about it 8 years later, and it stops
still gives you that sour feeling in your stomach.
Yeah, it still upsets me even when I'm talking about it right now. So what kind of things have you dealt with?
Well, there are a lot of things. A lot of them have to do with when I myself was in the mental hospital, which I really have not shared much with many people just because of the stigma behind it. But here we are. So I think probably the most negatively traumatizing story I can think of is the time right before COVID started in 2019. I had just given birth a few months before, and I was feeling ill, like physically ill. I was having a lot of physical issues. And so I go into the ER because I was very ill. I was having just all the COVID symptoms. And so I go into the ER and they're like, we can't find anything. There's nothing wrong. And then for some reason, they're asking, well, maybe we see here you have anxiety and depression and you just gave birth. So maybe your brain is making up these symptoms for you, as a warning sign. And I'm like, what are you even talking about? Jeez. And this lady just comes in to the room by herself, nobody else. And I thought, this is weird. And I'm sitting there sick with brain fog, not really thinking properly. And she convinces me to sign a paper. Oh. And I signed this paper, and probably like 3 minutes later, they lock me up in some room they have in the ER, which I didn't even know they had. And it's like a padded room, you know? And I'm like, what is happening? Then finally, the ER doctor himself came in, who I had talked to first about my symptoms.
Right.
And he's like, well, since you've agreed, you're now on a hold. You're going to the hospital that's nearby. And I'm like, wait, what? What are you talking about? I'm like, I'm literally having physical symptoms. I am sick. Like, I'm really ill. And he's like, well, we can't figure out what's going on. And you did talk to this woman and agreed with her. And I'm like, are you kidding? One of my main symptoms is brain fog. Why would you trust somebody with brain fog to sign a paper?
Right.
And I was alone with this woman in this room. And I'm like, this is just crazy. And I started that's when I actually started having a mental panic attack breakdown, because in that moment of time, I was happy. It had a huge negative effect on me that I'm still feeling even now. Like, it ramped up my fear of the ER, which I already had anyway. And it just made me realize that in a second, just because I have this diagnosis in my charts, they can just send me away and I have no choice. Luckily, there's a positive side to the story. My husband pretty much was like threatening to sue this institution if they didn't let me go. So they actually only kept me there for like 2 days. But they wanted to keep me there first, the 72-hour period, holding period that they do, and then for however long that they wanted, which...
And you just had a baby.
Yeah, and I was breastfeeding. So I'm like, no, this is not okay. And I was really upset because I have milk coming in, and I'm sitting there, and my husband has to go and get formula, and it was just so horrible. It was just traumatizing to me,
man.
And I'm just like, how can they get away with things like this? That's just how it is. There's just not enough to help people that the system is taking advantage of, it feels like. So
unfortunately, I feel like there's so many people that will have a similar story to that.
Oh yeah. I feel like there's a lot of people. In fact, I feel like I have heard stories before somehow, maybe on Reddit or something like that. But I've heard some stories, just horror stories that are very similar to that. I'm still scared to go to the doctor. Like, me going into the doctor's office could be me going to the mental hospital. You know, like, that's what I associate it with, because they could literally do that. And I saw that with the ER. So I'm like, that scared me. And even now, you know, 6 years, 7 years later, however many years it scares me to go to the doctor, and I avoid it like the plague. And even if I had the plague, I would not be going to the doctor. So but that was horrible.
Oh man, I'm sorry you went through that.
It was crazy. It really was crazy. It felt surreal, almost like I was in a Candid Camera episode or something.
Oh, Jesus.
But so that was probably one of the worst ones. I think also probably another one I'll start talking about too is another time I was taken to the mental hospital, which was the very first time that I've ever been. And I have been to 3 for longer periods, and then that one I just told you about with the ER. So I've been to 4 different ones total in different states as well. So I have a lot of, I feel like, perspective on the differences and the challenges that all of these places have with helping people with mental health. But it was the scariest process being admitted to the hospital, because I was very suicidal at the time. My ex was really angry with me. We'd had a fight, and I just started freaking out, and I go and grab a knife, and I just run into the bathroom, and I start, just trying to cut myself. And I'm thinking, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to deal with any of this. I don't want to do this. And he didn't know what to do. He can't get in, so he calls the police, and he's like, my girlfriend is trying to kill herself, and I don't know what to do. And so they race over, they come in, and they barrel in, break down this door. They grab me, they put me in handcuffs, which was crazy. And they just throw me in the back of the car, and like, they were angry, like really angry. And I'm like, part of me is still just, I'm so in the mood of wanting to just not be there anymore. I just wished I could disappear, really.
Right.
And so I'm in the back of this police car, and the 2 cops in front, they're just not even talking to me. They're not saying anything. They're just driving. And I'm like, where are we going? I'm like, am I kidnapped? Like, what is happening? And I'm like, man, if I could, I would just jump out of this car right now.
Geez, yeah.
But then they took me to the mental hospital, which I didn't even know that's what it was at first, but then I started understanding as they were in processing me, and they're like, well, you're going to be here for 72 hours. You have no choice. You cannot leave. You know, you're on a hold. And then after 72 hours, we'll determine how we want to proceed with you either being here or going home. And I'm thinking, okay, 72 hours. And at first I'm like calm and I'm laying there, and I'm on this like bed. So they laid me down on this bed with like this thin little pad on it.
Oh, wow.
And I'm laying in this room and there's nothing else in it. And I just, again, started having a panic attack, just freaking out.
Oh, man.
To the point where I'm screaming and I'm banging on the walls and I'm like really upset. And so a police officer opens the door, and I don't know why, or maybe he was a security guard, but for some reason I'm viewing a police officer. So that maybe that's who it was. But he comes in, he opens the door, and I just run for the door. I booked it, and I made it. I made it out the door, and he was like shocked. And so he goes to tackle me down, you know, and I get tackled to the ground. But
wow,
I was so manic at that point that I had like super strength or something because I was escaping. And then they had like 5 people on me, just one holding each arm and leg and one in the middle. And they just were dragging me back to this room, and then they tied me down to like with arm straps and leg straps, and my middle like strapped to this weird table thing. It was like a science experiment, you know. It was scary.
Yeah. Well, listeners, you have to know that Leia is only like 5'3".
Yeah, I'm tiny.
She's small. So this story is really wild because she's really tiny.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was just like, really, you need 5 people? But I mean, I don't know. That strength came out of me. I was just, I wanted to get out of there because it was like, I know now what a mouse trap feels like, because that's literally what it felt like, just like a trapped mouse. You don't know where you're going to be tomorrow. You know?
That's a good visual.
It was crazy. Later on, I will say another positive for this one. Later on, I won't lie, it did help me to be there. It did help that particular time. But it definitely, that trauma that I got from the initial part of it is still with me now. And it will always be with me. And it's something I sometimes even have dreams about, you know. And I know you and I were talking about this, KJ, but we were talking about how vivid our dreams are. Mm-hmm. So for me, when I have a dream about something, it feels like I'm ripped right back into that moment, everything. And it's stressful. It's stressful.
I know there is some, and not everywhere and not enough, but I know there are some places that are working on not just sending police when there's a mental health incident, you know, trying to have more mental health professionals there on the scene to kind of show that.
I was going to say, where I was living, they had this program called Cahoots. And if it was a mental health episode, they would actually send these people to go to the house, and they were like mental health professionals, and they would either transport you or they would just sit there with you and figure out, you know, what was going on. But I thought that was the coolest thing at first. But, I have another story, but that's for another time. But,
well, I've heard of those, and I haven't had really experience with that, but I've heard people who have, and I think that's just the way it needs to be.
Oh,
because them just yanking you, putting you in a car, and not telling you anything, that makes mental illness so much worse.
Yeah, it just piles on the extra trauma that we don't need. And it just made me much crazier. I feel like if I had just been explained from the beginning what's happening, I at least could have not been sitting there imagining the worst things possible, which I always do, and then freaked out like that. Because I feel like that's what really triggered that panic attack, was the fact that it just, I was imagining all of the things that they might do to me or with me, and I'm thinking they could literally make me disappear, and there's nothing I could do, you know. It's a crazy time.
Right.
So.
Well, that kind of leads us into our next topic, is kind of negative thoughts and self-talk.
Yeah.
In these situations, I can talk first about, I have daily intrusive suicidal thoughts. That's part of my OCD, harm OCD. And when I say daily, it's pretty much on a loop. My brain tells me, so it's not like voices, it's not anything like that, but I'm very visual, and my thoughts are like, you need to slice yourself and die, and shows me, I like can see exactly what it wants me to do. So, and it scares me because I don't want to do that, but I'm also depressed. And then I get scared. What if I do it impulsively and I don't know it? So that's really OCD
that's
right
scary.
there. But, it's hard to be positive. I think I might have mentioned in the past episode that, like, I am really hopeless, and it's really defeating that, I've had these thoughts since way before I went into the hospital 2 years ago. And just the fact that they're still here, they're worse, they're ramping up. Yeah. I mean, I do have good safety plans. I have good, professionals. I have an amazing husband, but it's just, I don't know how long I can go with it.
Yeah, and even when you're feeling a momentary happiness, you still have that underlining feeling of just miserable.
And, other negative self-talk, or like, we were talking about this, like, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, and that kind of stuff can just haunt you and be there all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with the way that the mental health affects us, so that we can't do things as easily. We question ourselves, like, why? Am I lazy? Am I dumb? Like, what is wrong with me that I can't? It's hard to accept that I'm okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I know. A lot of times it hasn't been okay. And so
yeah, exactly.
It's really hard to, like, visualize it being okay. And some things are easier to, just think, okay, I can get through this. But I mean, having 5+ years of my brain telling me I want to die is just draining. So,
well, and it's a lot of times it's not helpful to hear. Actually, this is the next thing we were going to talk about from other people, like in the public and things, their opinions on it that are so negative too, because I take those personally as well. I mean, on Facebook, I'll look at people's comments and on like a mental health post of some kind, and just the things that they say, I take it so personal. I'm like, oh, it hurts me. Is this really what people think about me or think, I am as a person? And then I start to believe it, because it's like, I must be if all these people think so too. And so when I'm at my lowest, that's the first things that pop in my head, or anything I've seen or heard other people say negatively about either my mental illness or people with mental illness.
Yeah. So. The other day, I didn't even know where we were going to share it, but I wrote it down because it pissed me off so much. I was reading, I had just read multiple articles. I know one was on a missing person, and then another one was where police officers were looking for someone who was having a mental health issue and had a knife, and they couldn't find them. They were searching a neighborhood. And there were so many negative comments, and I just couldn't believe it. These people who are suffering.
Yeah, it's really insane to me. I can't.
Right. And there was one comment was, everyone blames everything on mental illness. Rob a bank. Oh, mental illness. And that just pissed me off so much.
Yeah, like what?
Because that's just simplifying it way too much. And
yeah, it's way too complex to be looking at it that far away and making assumptions like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I just get so upset when people who don't, they aren't affected. Maybe they don't even have friends or family that they know of that are struggling. So, I don't know. That really stresses me out. And then this may seem not negative, but to me, when people are like, oh, just exercise and the endorphins, you'll feel better, or think positive.
Or calm down. Just calm down. I'm like, oh, yeah, let me just calm down. Like, if I could do that, I would freaking do it.
No
like,
shit.
What the hell? Like, what?
Or I was telling Leia the other day, and this has happened multiple times kind of recently. I was, sharing how I felt, and then someone's like, well, you look great. And I'm like,
That's not helpful.
But people say those things, and I don't know, maybe people listening need to hear that maybe that's not a helpful
it could be just
way.
People don't realize that is not helpful at all. Or, to say perk up, it's like, not what? Thanks. Now that you've said that, the energy from your words has made me magically better. Like, what?
And, to be fair, I do understand that people want to help.
Oh, yeah. And they just don't know.
Yeah.
And so I don't judge exactly. But for me, it can be frustrating time after time.
Right.
And that's why we have this conversation.
I was just going to say
This is exactly why we're sharing it,
why
so that
here.
everybody can know. Because I know there's got to be people that will be listening that have people in their lives that have mental health but aren't dealing with it themselves.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that perspective to hear from us it's important. But we also want to hear from everybody else. What do you think about that? How do you feel about when people say those kind of things to you? Does it uplift you? I'm really curious.
Yeah. And if you have questions, like you don't have these experiences, we would love to hear what kind of questions you have, or, if us or other listeners can help answer and give you more insight in that. That would be really great.
Yeah, exactly. We want to hear.
We're going to say that a million times.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, well, some other negative things we wanted to talk about are like the anxiety of missing out and having to do daily tasks. It's hard because we were talking about how we get so mad at ourselves, like...
Yeah, for things that should be easy in our brains because they tell us, oh, that's an easy thing. Getting up and going and taking a shower, that's so easy. Yeah. And it's like, no, it's really not. There's a literal energy wall in front of me that is blocking me from being able to get up.
Yeah, it's hard because we're talking about how, like, in my head, I'll be like, am I lazy and I just don't know it? And I'm like, why can't I just do these things?
But then there's other times where I will work so hard on something and I'm like, I know I'm not lazy. Like, I know in that moment, but then I'll still question myself later. But in that moment, I'll be like, it's something else, it's not laziness. An hour later, I'm like, I'm lazy. Dang it. So
it's hard. I know this is kind of a hard episode with all the... this is negative, but we have to put that out there early on here just so everybody knows we're gonna talk negatively, but that's not really how we think about it. It's the negative experiences that we have.
Yeah, and I also feel like it's not all sunshine and rainbows in life, and we need to share these things to feel more connected as a community, to know, hey, that person went through something really hard that I actually have a very similar experience to. And it's nice. It's not nice to hear people going through negative things, but it's nice to know that they can actually understand you on the same level as how you experienced it. Because once somebody's walked in your shoes, like they say, they know exactly what it feels like. Yeah. And so you can actually believe when they say, I believe you, because they've experienced it as well. So
yeah. And I know Leia and I, we just want to share our reality living with the mental illness, but we are also trying to have humor. That's how we get through life. And I don't know, we think are funny, but
that's all that matters.
So hopefully you do too, or you guys can share your humor that you find in your daily life living with this mental illness.
Yeah, you got to do something to get through. I know a lot of people have different coping mechanisms and things like that, which we also want to hear about. But laughter, it's like they say, laughter is the best medicine. It's not the best medicine, but it definitely helps.
It really does. We're not trying to bring anybody down or anything, but our next episode will be more positive.
Yeah, we're going to focus on the positive side.
Yeah, and some things we've noticed that are helpful. It has opened our eyes because we are suffering with these things. And we just want to tell you a couple more episodes that are coming up. The next episode after that, we are focusing on kind of our daily life of food, like shopping and meals and decisions.
Yeah, just the way our mental illnesses affect anything to do with food, really.
Yeah, because we have lots of struggles and it really makes life a little harder. Yeah. So we definitely want to talk about that.
And it'd just be nice to share it so that if there are people that are living similar, they can see, hey, I'm not alone. Or people can just understand where we're coming from. Because I know with my husband, when we first met, he was not sure what the heck was going on. But now that he understands better, it's so much better for both of us, for our relationship and everything. So,
yeah. And then our following one kind of goes into the same thing. Again, we're trying in a lot of episodes to just pinpoint specific parts of life. We're going to be talking about caring for ourselves, daily hygiene, self-care, those kinds of things that are essential, but they can be some of the hardest things to do. And then you feel guilty because you're not doing them.
Yeah, exactly. And so
we want to hear from you guys about, your ideas on those things as well. And if you're willing, we'll definitely share on later episodes as well. So look forward to those. Those are just a few coming up.
Let's see. I think probably the next thing we want to do is our chaos corner of the week.
Do you have something you want to share? Or?
Oh, yeah. No. Well, this one involves another one of my children, my teenager. And this was very recently. We went to another one of mine and KJ's sister's house. We have a lot of sisters.
Yes.
And so we went to her house for a Christmas party. It was after Christmas, but we were celebrating it. And it was really fun. We had a good time. And then we were going to be heading back, and my daughter said, "Oh, I don't want to go back," because we live right now in a very small place, so she hates it, and she's told me many times that she hates it. She's not shy about that, but
she's not shy about it.
Yeah, not at all. But for some reason, the way she said it, she was like, "Oh, well, I want to stay here because our place is just terrible, and I just don't want to go back." I can't even remember exactly what she said, but it felt like I got shot in the chest. Like, it was so painful to me. I held it in until I got home, and then I'm just bawling. I'm crying. I'm like, I'm a terrible parent. I'm a horrible person. I can't provide my children with what they need. Just spiraling, just having a total episode. And I know for her, she's not thinking that that's going to affect me in any way, because she was just being honest, and she likes to have her time to herself. And at that house, she can. They have lots of space, and they have a lot of like creativity stuff to do, beads and things of that nature. So she has a lot to do there as well. But I took it. It's like, I love her being there. I do. It's like, I don't have a problem with that. But there was just something about the reason I thought it was that just really affected me. It was hard.
Teenagers are really tough in that way. Like, she wasn't even trying to push your buttons, but you're so, it's your heart,
Yeah,
and so,
yeah.
I mean, teenagers can push your buttons too.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so,
easily.
And so you're sensitive to that, but it's like...
But she wasn't even trying to or
not
anything.
at all.
It's just the way that I took it. And perception is a huge thing, because like, I do feel like sometimes along that, I just will try to read what they're saying before actually understanding what they're saying to me. That's something I definitely need to work on.
Yeah, no, but I feel the same way. I take things really personally that are very
It's hard
small
not to
things.
when we have thoughts of negativity all the time anyway. So.
Yeah, that was rough. I'm sorry.
No.
So mine, I don't know. Again, I shouldn't judge myself, but I feel like this is really stupid, but...
Nothing stupid.
I know.
We're safe space.
So I can't be super specific on who, but I have these acquaintances. They're not family, or not close friends, not close coworkers, but, there's someone I know from something I do. And we have a group text. And we put everything in there, like... If we're frustrated, we're, different things. I don't know. And there'll be days that we don't use it. And then there'll be days where it's blowing up all day long. Yeah. I'll be driving and I'll hear
did
ding,
you see
ding,
that?
ding. But then just one day, the other day, there was an email about something. And they were like, oh, so-and-so said they would do this. And so that meant that 3 people had talked about something that felt like they would have put in the group text, but
like in a separate text that you weren't included in.
Exactly. And it's so stupid weird. Because I didn't need to know that. But I just felt like, oh, what else are they saying behind me?
I would have thought that too.
I know. It's not family. It's not close friends.
So like, you shouldn't care.
Yeah. And because it really doesn't matter. But I still, like, my brain's like, oh, well, they don't like you and da-da-da. And so that... chaos really sent me spiraling.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm saying, KJ, you're stupid. Why are you thinking this? And so I hate that I feel that way, because it really doesn't matter.
But to you, it does, because we hyperfixate on those things because we feel so negative about ourselves already. We're going to take a lot of things as a negative way, just like I said, perspective.
Yeah, that was really
I'm sorry.
tough. But again, it was more me braiding and judging myself, because I was like, you shouldn't be worried about that.
Yeah.
Which I really shouldn't. But, that's
just another
I'm very
thing
sensitive.
That just is normal with mental health as well, though, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, we want to hear your chaotic corner moments. So let us know. Yeah, we're all in this together.
Yes, and like I said before, this is a safe space. We don't tolerate hate or discrimination. We want everyone to feel like they can share whatever they want and feel uplifted for that. So.
Yeah, we like to say no input is bad input, but again, no hate.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah. And the places you can find us right now, we're on Instagram and Facebook, and that's at Coping Chaos Podcast. And then our email, and again, we'll have all this in our description for this episode, but our email is copingchaospodcast@gmail.com. And we would really, really love it if you review our podcast. I know we're new, but this will help us.
We want to hear.
Yeah, it'll help us reach more people and build our community. Again, we say this 100 times, but that is our mission, and we want to hear from more than just us.
Yeah, exactly. Though I could talk all day, but still.
I know. We like to talk about this stuff for you guys, and it helps us as well, but we want to hear from everybody else as well.
Exactly.
Oh, well, that was another heavy episode.
Yeah.
But
good. We need to get it out. We got to share the nitty gritty of everything. So
absolutely. So the biggest thing we want everyone to know is that you're not alone in this. We want this to be a safe space to share our experiences as a community.
And remember, we love you guys. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Coping Chaos. And as always, we will see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
Coping Chaos is hosted and produced by KJ Cervi and Leia Williams. Audio mixed and edited by KJ Cervi. Our theme song is by Lucas Cervi and Leia Williams. Artwork is created by Lucas Cervi. You can now follow Coping Chaos on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at Coping Chaos Podcast. We have also started a Patreon at Coping Chaos Podcast, where you can help support us and have access to exclusive content. Please feel free to rate and review wherever you stream. Send us your questions, stories, and Chaos Corner moments to copingchaospodcast@gmail.com.